stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mublet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to a very special, The Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital, where we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation on this particular great day, in this particular great land. We have both a remembrance, a memorial, and as well celebration of our great nation and how we have moved on past one of the most brutal experiences in American culture. A dark moment in the history of the United States of America, the moment that the Twin Towers fell. And I want you to know that it was since D-Day, and even before that, the attack at Pearl Harbor, one of the most memorable moments of realizing that the world was at war with God and the U.S. of A. And I want to introduce to some and present to others a gentleman from EDL that shares my great affinity for constitutionalism, capitalism, individual sovereignty, and as well, Christ. He, along with Jeff Mitchell, do a wonderful job in terms of putting together a program that reaches across the pond. I want to present to some and introduce to others my very, very great friend, EDL broadcasting pioneer, none other than Dave, the Unpleasant Blind Guy, Agador Milner. Good evening, sir. Good afternoon, in fact, and it is so good to do this very special simulcast with EDL.
It's a good afternoon, and I'd just like to say to listeners of the Unpleasant Blind Guy, you are listening to, as Ken just said, a very special simulcast. Ken is the CEO of the Exceptional Conservative Network, and a network which I hope that we can be associated with even more closely in the future. So sit back and relax. We're going to begin here, and then we will segue into the normal EDL show with the host, Jeff Mitchell, there. But Ken, it is wonderful to be with you today and to help you with this remembrance and to salute those who ran toward danger, and to remember the fallen and everyone else on this day.
If we can, because it's very easy for people to, it's been 18 years, and I know for a fact in the tragedies of my life, people will say, well, it's been 18 years, why don't you get over it already? And people can be so fragile in reception that they are destructive in giving. And so I want to ask you, sir, the background to 9/11 first. Because people just think, oh my God, that two planes went into the Twin Towers and knocked them down. What is the formal complaint of the protesters who were on that plane, the jihadists that took America by storm?
Well, first of all, we have to understand who they were. This was a part of the Wahhabist sect of Islam. And the individual who was in charge of this particular group of terrorists was, of course, named Osama bin Laden. And this individual came from a rich Saudi Arabian family. Their family made money not from the production of oil, but through through the machinery that kept that production going. That's where they made their money. Instead of doing the normal thing that Saudis normally do, which is just drive around in limos and just leave their cars by the wayside when they run out of gas, he chose to direct his money and his influence towards terror. And the issues that they had were that basically we were in their sphere. We were in the Islamic countries. We, the kafir, you and me and almost every one of your listeners. And it is part of the ongoing war that began when the Prophet Muhammad invaded Medina over 1,400 years ago. So this war began a long time ago, but 9/11 was just our generation's Pearl Harbor. It is a continuance of something that began with the Barbary War, the first war that we fought as a nation, and it continued up until that point, and it hasn't stopped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people would say, "Wait a minute, you're bringing up all this stuff and relative history. Couldn't it have been just 14 guys out on the street one night drinking a beer and decide, hey, let's take 2 planes and fly them into the Twin Towers? Could there have been anything of that particular magnitude?"
Well, certainly the taqiyya, which is lying to support Islam, certainly that's out there, and everyone who brings up the war that Islam has waged against all others who are not Islamic are portrayed as thisists and thatists and thisophobes and thatophobes and haters and white supremacists and just anything that they can throw at it. That's the portrayal, and that would have some merit if it were not for the fact that Islamic doctrine calls for war against non-Islamists. And I've actually had conversations with people who have said, well, I've read the Quran and I haven't read any of that bad stuff. Trust me, that stuff is in there. But it's not just the Quran, Ken. It is also in the other quote-unquote holy writings of Islam, the hadiths and the seerah. Okay, one of which depicts the life of Muhammad, and the other of which is his version of doctrine that he evidently or apparently got when he went into a cave and some angel came down and told him what to do. Now, here's the point, Ken. When Islam first began, it was not a popular religion. People were just saying, well, wait a minute, here's this slave trading caravan raider who now says he has a religion. Now, in modern day parlance, Ken, if Islam were to start today, we would just call this a big con. All right? And Muhammad was having trouble getting followers until he went into this cave and got this stuff from this angel, and suddenly it became okay for Mohammedans to steal from non-Mohammedans. It became okay for them to enslave non-believers. It became okay for them to murder non-believers. Suddenly, certain elements of society, people that we would naturally just call thugs and plug uglies, were attracted to this religion that this guy had just basically jacked up in his backyard. So the doctrinal proof is there. If you go to the religionofpeace.com, you'll find doctrine that they have written on women, on terrorism, on slavery, on everything else. And if that doctrine weren't there, Ken, yes, the deniers would be quite correct, and you and I and everyone else who warns against Islam would be, Mr. Haley McHateface. But that isn't the case.
We're talking today with a tremendous man of God, a true scholar in and of his own right. They have an EDL radio program that comes on Blog Talk Radio. Dave Milner is a gentleman speaking at this particular moment. Jeff Mitchell will be simulcasting with us in a good 10 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you all to understand, and please don't perish the thought of this, that what you're hearing in terms of the background, you're not hearing on most stations today. They're not talking about the background. What they're focused on are the Twin Towers falling. But in order for them to fall, there had to be something that came before it, and then there has to be something that comes after it. 18 years ago, today, on a Monday morning in New York City, at about 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time, news was being reported about President Bush visiting a classroom and speaking about the need for early education. There was nothing major going on. Things were all about silent. And on a news station that had Bryant Gumbel, and I forget the other young lady's name, who couldn't figure out that we were under a terrorist attack, they were preparing to sign off from their program. And then all of a sudden, in comes to NBC News pictures of a plane headed towards the Twin Towers. And on that plane were hundreds of individuals who were giving their last prayers and their last calls to family and friends because they knew what was happening. Those terrorists took that first plane into the South Building, and then about 15 minutes later, another plane goes into the North Building. And the Twin Towers began to struggle. They could hear creaking of the steel. They could see papers flying to the bottom, things on fire as they fall. And then one of the most boring yet reminiscent pictures of that time frame was a gentleman jumping from the 90th floor head first, understanding that his end would be by his own hands and not by the hands of a jihadist. America watched as leftist journalists tried to fathom how could a peaceful religion possibly create the tools necessary, the people necessary, the planning necessary to not only arrest one plane, but two planes. And then shortly after that, another plane takes off from National, and it heads directly towards the Pentagon, and it slams into the Pentagon. There's only one other plane left in the air, and it is over Pennsylvania. And that plane is headed to the White House. Yet, a group of men decided that since their day was coming and this was going to be it, they heroically decided to make a move. And they took down the jihadists, and their plane fell in Pennsylvania. Very, very far short of the White House. At that time, there was great criticism of the president for not being at the White House to handle these affairs. He was in a plane, and so was the vice president, Cheney. Yet it was the president of the United States that would make a memorial speech on the ground zero ashes. And that promise was that the world would hear from all of us very soon. And it did. And yet, 18 years later, Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Thalida Rashid sit in the U.S. House of Representatives, bashing Christianity, bashing conservatism, bashing constitutionalism, bashing individual sovereignty, bashing the American people. Dave, I want to ask you, you and I both shed a great many tears on that day some 18 years ago. I want to ask you, sir, how does it feel knowing that the squad is now patrolling the U.S. House of Representatives?
It really feels, Ken, as if, in a sense, that bin Laden won. And I hate to say that. I really do. But our supposed leaders took their eye off the ball. They would not confront Islam directly. And it became their Vietnam that has put our own country on the brink, frankly, of destruction.
Yeah. You know, the woman known as Ilhan Omar was not allowed into Israel because of her anti-Semitism. And even today, there are those who believe that the fault of what took place on 9/11 was our fault. That we are the reason why jihadists, Taliban, Muslim Brotherhood, and all of its tentacles, CAIR, C-A-I-R, that we are the reason and that we are the ones that provoked 9/11. And I just want to ask you, sir, first and foremost, is there any truth to that? And then secondly, if there is no truth, why is that the prevailing opinion of today, even as far up as the U.S. House of Representatives?
Well, Ken, if you'd like to hold that question, I'm going to go ahead and get us logged into EDL Radio, and we can continue that discussion from here if you'd like.
I definitely will. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. I have the great pleasure of working with Dave Milner and Jeff Mitchell today. Jeff Mitchell's nickname is Spider, so, you know, sexy. And they're part of EDL, and we are remembering the fall of the Twin Towers.
American 11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed, and our 5 has been staffed.
I am going to call from Washington. I am in a situation with American 11, a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? Aircraft is erratic again. Father, are you ready? Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty? The plane just hit the What? The 737?
Did what?
Like the World Trade Center.
Who are you talking to? Oh, God. Oh, my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later, sir. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
God. So both towers are now.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Pentagon just got hit. No for that. God damn it, I can't even protect my NCA.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking, United 93.
United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center, right then.
I got that piece of dog. Keep remaining steady. You have the ball, boss.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
We're 56865. We have, I believe it is a Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
That's confirmed. It looks like he's rocking his wings.
Roger.
He's rocking back and forth.
We're 56865. I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
United 93. Have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yeah, somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
Sean, it's me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Lady was stewardess in this office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. Say I'm gonna die.
Ma'am, say your prayers. We're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor.
I'm
Now.
dying.
A new type of war. That's what it is.
Well, welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the English Defence League radio show. We're doing a memorial special tonight, 9/11, the exceptional memories. Welcome to the English Defence League radio show. We host Jeff Spider Mitchell, and my wingman this evening is Dave Agador Milner. Tonight we'll be recognising with great respect the sacrifices of all those who ran towards danger 18 years ago today. Pastor, writer, commentator and chief executive officer of the exceptional conservative network, Mr. Kenneth McClinton, makes a welcome return to our show as we join forces with DECN for a special simulcast marking this solemn occasion. We will never forget the dead, the injured, the damaged and the aggrieved of 9/11. As we celebrate the heroes of that time, we repeat our steadfast oath, no surrender ever. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. And of course that was by the late great Edmund Burke. And I did pause there just for a second when I was listening to what was going on there, and I was like on a time trip back into the past. But also I've got to welcome, and I know these two great gentlemen are here in the studio with me, and that's my wingman, Mr. Dave Agador, and of course Mr. Kenneth McClinton joins us this evening. So good evening, gentlemen. Absolutely awesome to have you both here this evening. God bless you both.
Ken, please, as the guest, please announce yourself, sir.
Good evening to all of you, and good afternoon to the U.S. I'm Ken McClinton. I'm the host of the Exceptional Conservative Network, the Exceptional Conservative Show, I am also the owner of the Exceptional Conservative Network out of Washington, D.C. On this particular very profound day, and not just American world, I greet you and I thank you all for sharing this particular moment, this iconic moment that changed not only the people of the United States of America, but changed everything around the world.
And I just want to say hello to everybody. Good evening to everybody in the UK. Good afternoon to everybody in the United States. And hello to everyone around the planet. This is a very special simulcast. We are proud to welcome Ken McClinton here with us. He's a tremendous man of God and a stalwart podcaster. Ken, I believe this might be your 10th year or close to it, maybe more.
Wow.
And we wanted to have you here with us for this special observance, to get your commentary and everything. And we want to start, if you don't mind. Ken was asking me a question over at TECN, and Ken, if you'd like to ask me that question again, I will do my best to answer it, and then I'll throw it over to the host of the English Defense League radio show, Jeff Mitchell, to get his perspective.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Dave, for allowing us to do this simulcast together, EDL at Blog Talk Radio, the Exceptional Conservative Show at TECN TV. Normally I'm not even awakened this afternoon, so do the night show. But my query, and it's open to Jeff Mitchell as well as and the rest of the world, is on a day that the President of the United States in America remembers 14 and 16 guys coming together to attack the nation, not just at the Twin Towers, but also at the Pentagon, and a plane that actually fell in Pennsylvania headed for the White House. How does it feel knowing that 18 years later, you have Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez all sitting in the U.S. House of Representatives, along with two other Muslim members of the Muslim Brotherhood, sitting in the U.S. House of Representatives? How does that make you feel? And did we do what we were supposed to do when in remembrance of this particular attack? Dave, if you would.
All right, Ken, you heard me say this on TECN. I hate to say this, but it feels like in a way that bin Laden and the Wahhabists won, because the infiltration of our political system has begun in earnest. And I know that that Jeff will have something to say about this, because his political system has been riddled with Mohammedans to the hilt. And as far as have we done what we needed to do? No, we haven't even really begun to do what we need to do, in our opinion. And this goes wider, Ken, even than the United States of America. This also goes into the UK. It's a reason, partly, why I originally teamed up on EDL Radio with Jeff and with the crew there, because the evil that Islam represents will migrate, and it has begun that migration into the United States. All the things that I warned my fellow Americans about for years, that it was coming, that it was already in the UK and it was coming to the United States, had begun to happen. This chills me to the bone, and it has to be fought. Jeff, your response to Ken's question.
Yeah, and I'd like to welcome you, Ken. You know, to have you here. You're a great gentleman, a great commentator, and all the great things you do. But that question to me is, what keeps ringing through my head is what that Ilhan Omar, whatever, said. Oh, something happened. some people done some stuff, and I don't know how you feel, Ken. I don't know how you feel, Dave. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted to the people like them say things like that of what we saw unfold. Oh, it's just some people done some things. How dare they? How dare they? It's just, it blows me mind. It does, Ken. And I don't know how you feel about it. I know, Dave, how you feel about it. I think it's disgraceful. I do think that these are pretty dark times, and I think the trouble of this country is at this moment in time that God's gone out of the country a little bit. I mean, it's been happening in the US as well, and I think once you take God away from the country, God out of the country, this is what we descend into, some sorts of chaos. But there's a lot of us that still shine in the light. Ken, you're one of those, a great pastor and the great works you do, and same with Dave and many others. You know, someone's got to shine a light, someone's got to stand up, and you know, I always keep my, my shield of the Lord around me. You know, when I do these radio shows, it's that's what keeps me strong. That's what makes me move forward. But we do live in dark times. Things are going to get worse. Me and Dave have often said this. The things are going to get worse. We do realise that, and I think we've got to be got to have our feet, our feet firmly on the ground, because before the light, there's the dark. We are surrounded in dark at the moment. Unfortunately, we've seen since 9/11 that tragic, absolutely horrific event that unfolded. We've seen, Dave, I'm not sure the statistics. I think there's been over 27 or 28,000 attacks of these cultists of death across the world. That's what we've seen. So we hit them hard, and of course your great president has totally wiped out the caliphate in Syria. Well, there are still different pockets, but unfortunately you've got to really work hard to clean them out. And I know there's still some bombing runs that's going on one of the lines there. I know there was a big run the other day. That's what I heard anyway. So it seems that this problem isn't just going to, ain't going to go away, because there's people that pop up. There's always other new groups that pop up, except, these sort of things happen. But, that's how I feel about that as what we're saying. It still infuriates me to think we got the same problems over here as you. And we got some terrible people, but they've been put in their positions. They're there to destroy everything that your forefathers, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, this, that, and the other. They're trying to destroy that. They're trying to take away your first, your second, your third, fifth, fourth, fifth. They're trying to take away everything that your forefathers have put together, and that's how I want to answer the question towards you, Ken. There you go.
Well, let me be as robust and banefully contemptible as I possibly can to those who are listening around the world, which is why I get banned off of Google and Facebook and every other leftist platform that there is possibly ever created. That's why I have my own television network. We pussified under George W. Bush our support and our response to the enemy at hand. The enemy at hand is not the Taliban. It's not the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not Turkey. It's not Iran. The enemy at hand is Muslim Islam. Mm-hmm. That is the enemy at hand. And the bottom line is, whether you fight it with political correctness or you fight it with silence, you will lose the battle on every given day. Jesus was a savior, but he did not allow his disciples to go into the world without weapons of mass destruction. First the word and then the sword.
There you are.
Please, without a shadow of a doubt, that we have had over 2,000 years of experience with jihadism. And the story works this way: slight infiltration, political correctness, overthrow of nations, oppression, slavery, destruction. Whether it's Libya, whether it's Kenya, whether it's Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. Our enemy is Islam. And until the people of God rise up and fight back, we'll watch our hallways be cluttered with the blood and the unwashed penance of those individuals who innocently went and bowed their heads to those who with a sickle and a sword would cut it off.
And that is it for this time. Next time, Part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.